California, usually on fire, but mostly environmentally friendly, is something CNN would say about that clip. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Luke Rudowski here of wearechange.org, and there is a whole bunch of absolutely crazy news to get into today, as of course, a lot of people are losing it. A lot of people are pissed off. There's a lot of crazy things happening in our financial markets that are chaotic and going to be a lot more chaotic from here, as of course we have the latest bombshell information coming from the larger proxy war between the West and the East. As geopolitically, we also have some very telling comments from Henry Kissinger, who soon is going to be turning 100 years old. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more, all on this independent media broadcast. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you can get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast is being shared around widely on the internet and is highlighting the current situation in Oakland, California, where a lot of the makeshift pop-up, very diverse communities there are dealing with a little bit of a smog problem, to say the least. And could we say here, this guy's parking job? Absolutely horrible. Who in the world parked this car? California drivers, am I right? Totally irresponsible, just like the U.S. government, especially when it comes to their financial dealings, that literally prints money out of thin air and then indebts this country to numbers never foreseen ever before in recorded human history, as the United States is soon going to be hitting its debt limit once again, something that the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is saying is going to have huge economic consequences and will create chaos in our financial system, unless, of course, Congress comes together and agrees to spend and print more of your money that they literally make out of thin air. And as Janet Yellen is promising a steep economic downturn, all of this is happening as the U.S. government is planning on fining, regulating, and taxing you to pay for all the things that they want to do, as they literally print money out of thin air. Why are we being taxed and regulated so much then? That's a question that a lot of people are definitely asking themselves today. This is the Biden administration just approved a new tax on drivers in New York City that will have them paying $23 per day for the privilege of driving in one of the most taxed jurisdictions in all of the world. Yes, there's a new plan being put forward that will charge everyday, hardworking, blue-collar individuals $23 if they want to drive into Manhattan's central business district. This is all a part of a plan to, of course, reduce the amount of people who are able to drive, as driving is becoming more and more of a luxury, a part of the UN 2030 vision that is becoming more unattainable for the average human being. This, as people who don't live in New York City could pay as high as $120 for new tolls of having the privilege of being in this jurisdiction, all of this under the guise of congesting pricing plans. As of course, the government is really good at taking away your money and spending it on things like, reparations. This, as a California panel has just approved $1.2 million each for black residents in California. This, as activists are saying it's not enough and they demand at least $200 million, all reparations for slavery that California never enacted from residents that overwhelmingly were not slaves. When you look at the population data and the actual descendants of slaves, that number is very low in the United States. And with government planning like this and essentially open borders that is causing housing to go up in price while labor to go down in cost, highlights a very troubling situation for the average American, unlike Bill Gates, that just grew his fortune by another $2 billion in one day. So yeah, there's that situation, as of course geopolitically and internationally things are heating up in Ukraine, as Russia has just launched their biggest kamikaze drone attack on the Ukrainian countryside, specifically targeting many key pieces of infrastructure inside of the capital city of Kiev, as the situation in that country is escalating as everyone is waiting on the spring offensive that soon might take place might actually not take place because of the loss of manpower in that specific country, which we will see how it will develop in the next upcoming weeks. As of course, we're going to be keeping a close eye on this story, which brings us to the sponsor of this video, and that of course is MCF Energy. Their link and their stock ticker is down in the description below, so you could find out more about this company that we are officially working with and are going to be telling you about in this specific video. As this company is directly tied to the natural gas needs of Europe, which I think it's fair to say is reaching a crescendo moment ever since, the Nord Stream pipeline was actually blown up, a full-scale invasion of Ukraine happened, and sanctions and economic war have prevented a lot of energy from going to Europe that usually went there. And with Europe having a mild winter this season, they were a lot more fortunate than a lot of other financial experts predicted they would be, as of course, a harsher winter would mean more energy demands. This is where MCF Energy steps in, as of course, they are working on delivering large-scale natural gas exploration to Europe, as they have some really interesting drilling operations and exploration going on right now in Austria and Germany. Yes, Germany, the same country that just shut down their last nuclear reactor in their country. As they're trying to depend on green energy that, of course, we know there's a lot of troubles with, as of course, we even have an article today from the Wall Street Journal detailing the backlash that's happening here domestically inside of the United States against this, quote, clean energy push that definitely enriches some individuals while, of course, not being that reliant and proven or tested in a lot of circumstances. Now, with the conflict in Ukraine, the explosion of the Nord Stream pipeline, with nuclear reactors being turned off in Europe, these are some of the reasons we're working with MCF Energy that is working on some very interesting things, as of course they also have a big team that they're working with that has a proven track in this industry, with individuals like James Hill, who's a professional geologist, Ford Nicholson, who's an accomplished energy and oil and gas entrepreneur, and even Wesley Clark, the former NATO Supreme Allied Commander that came out and warned the general public about the U.S. plan for many U.S. military operations and invasions before they actually happened. As of course, General Wesley Clark is a part of their independent board of directors. He's an individual that, of course, we interviewed here on this YouTube channel as well. And I think it's fair to say that this guy knows a lot more than he's letting on to. All of this as the conflict in Ukraine has definitely caused a lot of instability. And with that, some major shakeups in the business markets that I think it's fair to say are only going to be shaken up more from here. As of course, the need for energy is clear. It is there. This conflict in Ukraine looks like it's not going to go away anytime soon. With that comes some very severe economic pressures, mainly because of the disruptions to energy, as even Henry Kissinger, a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, has come out and even specifically warned about, as he of all people is even calling for a stop to this conflict. And if you remember, the corporate media told you that this conflict was going to be over in a few days. We told you that it wasn't. We told you that this conflict could last many years, if not decades, as Kissinger had this to say about the conflict in Ukraine just moments ago.
He believes that the current crisis in Ukraine may be approaching a turning point.
Now that China has entered the negotiation, it will come to a head. I think by the end of the year, we will be talking about negotiating processes and even actual negotiations.
Now, is Kissinger right? Will the negotiations at least start at the end of this year? Well, we'll see. A lot of his predictions have a way of being sometimes right on the money and sometimes being absolutely wrong. It's important to note here that he's also saying what's convenient for him and his side. And who really knows if the negotiations could even be successful here, as I think it's fair to say the turbulence that has been started in Europe, as many conflicts before, especially when they involve border conflicts in Europe, have a bigger track record of escalating out of control rather than, of course, de-escalating. Now, we, of course, personally hope that there is going to be some de-escalation here, but from the way that things are going right now, I think it's fair to say that we have a long way until that happens. With that comes a lot of instability, especially in the energy markets, and one of the reasons why we decided to team up again with MCF Energy, which you could find out more by clicking the link down in the description below. As, of course, there definitely is a vacuum of energy created in Europe. Things are getting a lot more expensive, and with the potential of a very harsh winter coming later on this year, I think it's fair to say that Europe will be looking for other alternatives when it comes to energy. So yeah, if you're interested, check out MCF Energy. They have a proven business model, and you could find out more about them just by clicking the link down in the description below. And we want to thank them for sponsoring us and personally working with us here at wearechange.org. We got one more video coming out later on today on lukeunfiltered.com. See you there. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys actively watching and sharing this video, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.